These little foxes are perfectly adapted to survive in one of the most inhospitable places on Earth. Hi, it's me, and this is Life Noggin. Arctic foxes live at the northernmost parts of the world, specifically in the Arctic Circle and the regions surrounding it, like Greenland, Iceland, Norway, Canada, and Alaska. These little guys can also be found as far north as 80 degrees latitude. Frozen north is not a place for the weak. Temperatures regularly drop to -40 degrees Fahrenheit, or -40 degrees Celsius, which is the same temperature as the inside of a freezer. And these foxes have to deal with months of darkness in the winter and a lack of food. So how do they survive? Let's find out. Fact no. 1. They have thick fur coats. Arctic foxes have 2 layers of fur. The top layer consists of long guard hairs that repel water, and the bottom layer is made of soft, downy fur that traps air close to their bodies to keep them warm. In addition to their thick fur coats, Arctic foxes also have thick fur on the soles of their feet, which acts as a sort of built-in pair of snowshoes. Their big paws help to distribute their weight over a larger surface area, so they do unsink into the snow while walking. Their paws also have rough pads and sharp claws that help them grip the ice and snow as they hunt and play. They also have small ears that are covered with fur to help reduce heat loss. Finally, their tails are large and bushy, which helps them keep their balance when they're trotting across the snow and ice. It also acts like a fifth leg when they are re-standing up on their hind legs looking for food. If you look at a picture of an Arctic fox and it looks like its tail is covering its nose, that's no accident. When the wind blows, it pushes the cold air around their faces right under their tails, keeping their noses nice and toasty. Fact no. 2. They build dens. Arctic foxes dig elaborate den systems using their sharp claws and teeth. These dens serve as shelter from predators in the elements and a place to raise their young. They typically use natural shelters like caves or hollowed-out logs if they can find them, but will dig their own dens if they have to. Arctic foxes usually make their dens under the cover of darkness when temperatures are at their coldest. The entrances to their dens often have multiple tunnels leading in different directions to confuse predators. Once inside, there may be multiple chambers connected by tunnels. Some may serve as bedrooms, while others are used for storage. In these storage rooms, Arctic foxes will cache food for future meals. They might store berries, birds, or other small animals they've caught, along with the lemmings and other small mammals that they scavenge during the day. Sometimes these caches of food will last for several days. This is important because during certain times of the year, like when it's snowing heavily or the ground is frozen solid, it can be difficult to find food. Having a stash of food stored in their den can be the difference between life and death for an Arctic fox and its kits. Fact no. 3. They eat almost everything. Arctic foxes are considered omnivores, meaning they eat both plants and animals. They have been known to eat over 200 different kinds of prey, including lemmings, squirrels, rabbits, fish, eggs, seaweed, berries, bird droppings, and even whale carcasses. One study found that the majority of an Arctic fox's diet consists of lemmings. Lemmings are small mouse-like rodents that live in the Arctic. Like Arctic foxes, they are well adapted for life in the frozen north. Lemmings have thick fur coats and small ears, just like the Arctic foxes. They also hibernate during the winter, which means that they slow down their breathing, heart rate, and other bodily functions in order to conserve energy. This makes them much easier prey for hungry Arctic foxes. However, lemming populations can fluctuate dramatically. In some years there are plenty of them, and in other years there are enough to go around. To make matters worse, lemmings tend to travel in groups. So if an Arctic fox catches one, there's usually another right behind it ready to be snatched up. This means that an Arctic fox needs to be efficient when it hunts and must catch as many lemmings as possible to ensure its survival. While lemmings are their favorite meal, Arctic foxes won't turn their noses up at other foods. During the winter, they sometimes feed on the carcasses of larger mammals such as reindeer, muskox, and polar bears. And in the summer, they'll happily snack on berries, eggs, and the bodies of fish that have been left behind by hungry polar bears. Basically, if it's small enough for them to carry, they'll eat it. Fact number 4, they're active during the day. Most animals that live in the Arctic Circle are nocturnal, meaning they are most active during the night. This includes snowy owls, polar bears, and gray wolves. There's a good reason for this. When the sun goes down, temperatures begin to drop. Being out in the freezing temperatures during the night puts animals at risk of hypothermia and frostbite. However, Arctic foxes are diurnal, meaning they're active during the day. This means they can take advantage of the daylight hours to hunt, gather food, and explore their territory. They typically sleep at night and conserve their energy while the temperature is at its coldest. This behavior allows them to avoid the harshest weather conditions and reduces the amount of energy they need to stay warm. However, being awake when your predators are asleep does come with its own risks. Snowy owls, which are the main predators of adult Arctic foxes, are most active during the night. This means that Arctic foxes have to be constantly on the lookout for danger when they re-out in the open. But there are ways to reduce their risk of being hunted. One way Arctic foxes avoid becoming owl dinner is by hunting during the day. As we mentioned earlier, Arctic foxes are opportunistic hunters and will eat almost anything they can catch. In addition to lemmings, they also hunt puffins, ducks, geese, fish, and even other Arctic foxes. Arctic foxes usually hunt alone and rely on their keen eyesight and sense of hearing to locate their prey. They also use their speed and agility to their advantage, chasing down prey over the snow and ice. In fact, no. 5. They have very few predators. As we said before, snowy owls are the main predators of adult Arctic foxes. However, they don't live in the same habitats. Snowy owls prefer to live in open, treeless areas where they can easily spot their prey, while Arctic foxes prefer the shelter of rocky outcrops, ravines, and hillsides. This means that they rarely cross paths. This gives Arctic foxes a little more freedom when it comes to hunting and gathering food during the day without the fear of being hunted themselves. Of course, there are still threats. Sometimes polar bears will eat Arctic foxes, especially if they haven't had a large meal recently. And gray wolves sometimes prey on Arctic fox kits. Wolves are known to hunt down and kill Arctic foxes just for fun, not because they need to eat them. Wolves typically hunt larger prey such as deer, moose, and caribou. But when those animals aren't available, they may turn to smaller prey, such as Arctic foxes. Wolves usually hunt in packs, which gives them a greater advantage over lone Arctic foxes. However, if a wolf happens to stumble across an Arctic fox kit, it will most likely grab it and run off before the mother fox can do anything about it. So there you have it. 5 reasons why Arctic foxes are able to survive in the frozen north. What would you could survive in the frozen north? What would you do? Tell us all about it in the comments below. If you want to learn more about the Arctic, check out this playlist over here. As always, it's been me. Don't forget to keep on thinking.